making progress. Not available for this weekend, making progress, and we'll see how much progress they can make next week before the next one. So, they're just, getting back to returning to play, but also just finishing up, strengthening, things like that. We want to make sure this is a one-time thing, and then they're back and ready to go. So just working them through the full process.
As you, a couple of days past the opener now, any positive you can take from that game as you turn into Victoria, Kansas City?
Well, I thought there was some good moments on the attacking side. Not enough, but there were some good moments. I thought the goal was a very good goal. But I think, just the speed at which we were reading the game and getting into spots to help each other was a little bit too slow. Guys were too far apart from each other. So it made it difficult for us to play with any sort of quickness or speed against a team that's kind of pressing you. So again, just I think a little bit of just not our best day. Some things weren't clicking, and some key parts of what we do we weren't finding the right spots quickly enough. Our wingers were a little too high, and so they were disjointed from the group when we were trying to build out, which made it very difficult for us to put together some numbers in the middle of the field. And so, things like that lead to the game just having a different vision than what we would want it to have. Defensively, I felt like at times we were just not transitioning fast enough to reorganize. We were sometimes going to step out to close guys, and we would have them in a good position, and one guy would drop off just to maybe to help with somebody else, and they would find their way out, and it became a little bit inefficient. And so the game got vertical. Also some turnovers where we were dribbling. We were dribbling when we needed to spin out and keep possession. We were dribbling into numbers against us, which didn't make sense. And again, we allowed for the game to get too up and down for us. And then we also didn't put enough numbers, nearer the ball to be able to play in possession the way we want to. So when you do that, the vision of the game completely changes. And we didn't have control of the game the way we would like to have control of the game. We didn't create the chances we wanted. And defensively, transitions again became a big part of it. And look, ultimately, the result in the first half, the timeliness of the goal we gave up was it's a mistake that can't happen. And they know that, and we've talked about it. I talked about it with Raw, because we could have got out of the half, even though we weren't as perfect or great as we wanted to be. We should have got out of the half 1-0. That would have been a different emotion in the locker room and a different reorganization in the locker room. So goals matter, and when goals happen also matter. And that was a tough one to take on the road. It's not easy to beat Dallas in Dallas or to score goals in Dallas. And we gave them one at a bad time.
Yeah, Greg. Just wanted to know, Sega and Chase weren't on the game day roster for that match. Is there a reason why?
Chase has a growing injury. Hopefully he'll be making his way back next week. It was leading into this last game, which had him out. That's why he didn't travel. Sega went home for personal reasons, and will be back soon. So, yeah.
And this game against Kansas City, you've played against Peter Vermees and SKC 9 times. You've yet to beat him and get all 3 points. Kind of what is it about his teams that are so hard to break down and win against?
Yeah, I think playing in Kansas City specifically is challenging. They're an organized team. They do what they're going to do. So they do it well. They're kind of like a machine in a way. And it's about taking away some of their strengths, about not making mistakes. Again, I think in some of these games for us is just to continue to be solid on the defensive side. But going to Kansas City and playing them in their stadium and with the things they do, and they have good players, and like I said, Peter has them organized. They're a difficult team to play. So we've got to go and again, try to do things better than we did the first week and improve on our performance and not make the mistakes especially specifically always, but on the road, they're really difficult to come back from sometimes. So we just got to be better in those situations.
We saw Jalen and Preston make their debuts.
Yep.
Do they play a larger role, you think, this week? And what did you see out of them, and how that set them up for this week?
Yeah, possibly. So I think, for me, Jalen has had a really steady preseason. I've said this many, many, many times. I thought he came in the game and he was also very steady, showed his confidence on the ball and just composure in most situations, and I thought he was good. So he's always making a case for himself, and so I think it's been what we want from him. Is I don't have any issues putting him on the field ever. So he's proven himself now enough to me that he's ready to play. As it relates to Preston, yeah, I thought Preston came in and he came in when we had two forwards up top, which is a little bit different setup, and he made some good runs and got himself into some dangerous positions, which is what Preston does. So again, he's continuing to show that he can be a handful, which we already knew, but also with us, with the MLS team, and so he's again putting himself in position to have a bigger role.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
How's Tyler progressing? How's he doing in the new league?
Yeah, good. You know, I would say for the first 2.5, maybe 3 weeks, he was just trying to get his legs under him. He had spent 4 or 5 months where he was training on his own, doing a lot of work. So his just general fitness was good, but his soccer fitness, getting his legs under him, getting his mind working with his feet and his legs and all that was just needed a little time. And then he had a little bit, like everybody does, soreness when you're going through that initial phase of kind of preseason. And then probably the first 10 days, he was involved in about 110 minutes of match play, which he was sore from, and so we needed to back him up a few days. But now as we see him in training, his legs are under him. He's sharper. Everything is kind of coming together. He's getting in sync with the players around him and the things that we're asking on both with and without the ball. So he's definitely progressing in a positive way. And we just again, he'll continue to start to play more and more of a role inside of the group.
Johnny Perez on the game day roster.
Johnny was on the game day roster. We really, to be honest, we wanted to get one more week of training under his belt before we threw him into match situations. So he was with us to take in the experience. But I would say this weekend he's more available to actually play. We were going to be very hesitant putting him on the field in this last game, but now we feel like he's got enough training under his belt that he's physically ready to participate in games.
How confident are you in this young group that's coming up? I mean, we talked about Jalen before, Preston, Adam Saldana, and now Perez. Confidence level has grown from you to them or the last couple of years?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think with each of them, they've in their own sort of pathway and timeline and has proven themselves. You know, Johnny has got another step now to get into MLS games and have a positive impact in games, but I was really pleased with where he was at the end of last year, and he really, for me, he showed that quite well in the Chivas Guadalajara game. I thought he came on and really showed, again, against a full professional team that he was, what he does can translate. So now he's been off for 5 months, you know, because of the injury. So it's getting him back into form, but I think his qualities and what he does, he's ready. It's just a matter of getting him in form and getting him to understand all of his responsibilities, again, with and without the ball and outside of those brilliant moments that he can do things. There are other responsibilities he has to have, and he's learning those. Obviously, Jalen, I've said enough about. He's ready to go. Preston, I think he's shown 2 years that he's capable of scoring at the USL level. Again, when he's come into our environment, he's been a handful for no matter where he's playing. He's just a handful for center backs. And Adam missed a season. So, you know, Adam he's progressing back, but obviously we liked him a couple of years ago, so that hasn't changed much. It's just him getting back into the game and being inside in the middle of the game. It's catching the speed of things and being able to think quickly and be efficient and get his body on the turn and all these little details that we need to get back from his time off. But all of them, again, are making the right steps to be a big part of the club as we continue to move forward.
Yeah, well, with Caligari, do you know maybe when do you guys have a timetable when he'll come?
No, I mean we were really optimistic and things were moving quickly, and so I'm still waiting for just some feedback today because I think there was one more thing that maybe was needed down there, but things were progressing. Hopefully, they will continue to progress as fast as they've been progressing. So, and if that's the case, we should see him in the next couple days. If anything else comes up, then I don't have a timeline anymore. But things were moving really nicely.
And I guess with Jovic, have you guys been working with him to maybe get him more touches in the box, be a little bit more influential in the game in general?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not just about the forward. There's, you know, we've got to have guys who are working behind the back line. You want to stretch the back line to create spaces in between lines. You want to move center backs to create spaces for your striker. So some of it is the work of guys around him as well, in addition to his movements in the box and us getting balls into the area where he can manage it and he can make some plays happen. So it's not just on the forward. We've talked with Dayon and showed him some different things that we want him to continue to do, but it's also the movements of the guys around him that can help create some of that space and open up some opportunities for him as well. So it's no different whether it's Javi or it's Dayon. They're similar types of strikers who are fantastic finishers, but they also need good movements around them. Quality of service, things like that matter for those guys as well. And if you can get it there, they're going to put it away. So you need to keep doing that with Dayon and for Dayon. So. Is that it? All right. Thank you.